What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN. Episode 95 of the GSN Podcast. We're getting close to 100. We're coming up on it. We're getting close. And we're having a good time over here on the GSN Pod. It's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to be in the world of media, talking about sports. It's a great time to be engaged, to be looking forward to all the seasons that we have to come. Football season is on the horizon. We know that. We're looking forward to it. We're looking at college football recruits. We're looking at what's going on with NIL and all the deals happening in and around the NCAA. How are they handling the direct payment of these college athletes? The new video game, NCAA Football 2025, is also set to come out soon. There's a lot happening. There's a lot moving with the college football sphere right now. And I think that kind of goes without saying. If you're focusing on college football, if you're looking at it from a broad perspective, there's a lot happening. The league is changing. And we're going to be talking about that a lot more on the GSN podcast and as well as the GCP, talking about it on the GCP with Cody, bringing Cody back here once things cool down for him over with the Tigers. Obviously, they're playing right now. MLB is in its prime. It's in its prime. Weather's getting hot. Hottest day on record as of this year. We got in the mid 80s over here in mid-Michigan. It's pretty hot. It's humid. Got to get out of the heat. Jump in a pool if you have to. And I can attest to that just playing golf last night in my league. It was hot. And the sun was out. Once it gets down to the, right before golden hour, it really gets hot. And for those of you guys that play golf, you know that. And we're going to talk about the game of golf here in a little bit. I'm going to give my inside scoop, talk about golf a little bit, my game. How does it affect, everything that I do? How does the game of golf really revolve around the life that you live? Kind of getting into a little bit of a philosophical mindset, talking about the game of golf, but also diving into the actual game itself. What does it take to be good? What does it take to play well? From a mindset to stepping up to that first tee box and being like, okay, well, I got to get off the tee somehow, some way I got to get off the tee box. Don't know what club I'm going to hit, but I got to get off the tee box. I got to set myself up for a good second shot into the green. If you're a par 4 guy, if you're playing a par 5, deciding whether you're going to make it in 2 or you're going to go for 3. So a lot to look forward to here in this episode of the GSN Podcast. Thank you for joining us. First on the docket, though, we got to talk about Pat McAfee as he is under fire as of late over his Caitlin Clark comments. Now, the WNBA is seeing more headlines than I've ever seen. And some people may argue that is a good thing. It's great for the sport. I can agree with that. I think it's great for the sport. It's great to see the WNBA in the headlines more and more, week after week, day after day. And the clash between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has really never been better, I guess you can say. Angel Reese is kind of falling towards the average when it comes to the average WNBA player. Very lackluster stats, while Caitlin Clark seems to be overshadowing not only fellow competitors that she played against in college, but also veterans of the WNBA. And her stat sheets prove that. So a controversial call. It was in the Indiana Fever's game a couple of days ago. It was getting chippy. And there was I think it was a flagrant. I think it was a flagrant foul. Okay. And me, from my official's background, I could tell that was not a basketball play. Caitlin Clark even said in an interview, that was not a basketball play that was made. And there was not a play on the ball. The ball was nowhere near Caitlin Clark. So the fact that was not called and escalated to a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2, it kind of baffles me a little bit. And that kind of goes against the officiating crew of that game. Now, what Pat McAfee said, I'm not going to repeat here on this show. Not really a big deal. Didn't really cross too many lines, in my opinion. But go on YouTube, navigate to it, or go on Twitter and watch the video for yourself. It's not really what he said as much as how he said it. And he kind of knew after he said it that, okay, those words in that context didn't sound great. And just in, comparison to the animosity that Caitlin Clark has faced, the high roads that she has taken, I think Pat McAfee, after those words had exited his mouth, he was somewhat wishing, hey, maybe I should have took the high road like Caitlin Clark's been doing. She said, she says on tons of accounts, this is a different league. This is basically the big leagues. I mean, you can't really get much higher than WNBA in women's basketball. And she's expecting that. She's expecting to face adversity, expecting to not get the flagrant one calls that she probably deserves to get. She knows that she's paying her dues, and she's in the school of hard knocks. She's a rookie. She's overshadowing a lot of these veterans, and her stat sheets show for it. It's very clear to say that. As far as Pat McAfee goes, he's a very energetic guy, full of poise, and sometimes, and I'm guilty of this myself, sometimes we say things that we don't mean to say in that context. Might not be that we didn't mean to say it at all. We just didn't mean to say it that way. And especially in the world of live media, you can fall victim to that time after time. It happens. It happens. In live media, it happens. Okay? So it's something you got to, accept. You got to eat it, essentially. And it's just one of those things. You move on. People talk about it for a couple days, like I'm doing. I really don't think it's worth talking about a whole lot. But as far as decorum goes, I think Pat McAfee would agree that he wishes he kept his decorum to a little bit higher caliber in that instance, just to take the high road. It's not that he said anything wrong. It's the decorum. It's the feeling and reading the room, reading the situation, seeing what's going on in the world with the competitiveness that the WNBA is seeing as of late, and just kind of taking that with a grain of salt and moving on. So he'll be fine. Everyone's going to be fine. Everyone but Caitlin Clark is going to be fine. Everyone, Caitlin Clark's going to be fine. Everyone else, rather, maybe not so much. They got her to worry about, as she is a serious threat in the WNBA, and a force to be reckoned with, and transitioning very well from the college basketball sphere to the WNBA and the professional league. So looking forward to seeing more greatness from Caitlin Clark. So let's move on. Let's talk about the NHL. Let's talk about hockey. Okay, so I think it's pretty well known. Edmonton has advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals along with the Florida Panthers. Game 1 is set to take off this Saturday, the 8th, the same day as the GSN Challenge 5. Big game 1. Florida Panthers making a second appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. They got a lot to build off of. Okay, you got Connor McDavid, you got Zach Hyman, and you got Draisaitl, which are going to prove to be a threat for the Edmonton side. You got Reinhart and Matthew Tkachuk on the Florida Panthers side, which are going to be huge threats as far as scoring goals and gaining assists for the Florida Panthers. As far as injuries, you're kind of looking at a little bit of day-to-day stuff for Sam Bennett. Okay, Sam Bennett is day-to-day. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is also day-to-day. Alexander Barkov is also day-to-day. A lot of guys are day-to-day. But here's the bottom line. It's the Stanley Cup Finals, and you're playing for a championship. You're playing to hold that big silver cup over your head at some point in the series. So there's a big chance that these guys that are day-to-day are going to be playing because they're playing for it all. Okay, Stuart Skinner obviously is going to be in the goaltender position, more likely than not in the predominant goaltender position for the Oilers, and Bobrovsky is going to take the helm for the Panthers. And this is going to be a battle of the goalies. It really is. Who's going to keep the goal secured? Who's going to keep the puck out of their own net? And who's going to transfer as far as offensive players go? Get the ball in the opponent's zone. That's kind of what it boils down to. Get pucks deep. Keep the puck in the opponent's zone because that's where you have the best opportunity to score goals. Okay? Don't to spell it out for you. For those of you guys that don't watch hockey and even then still don't watch Stanley Cup playoffs and the finals, then get your head out of your ass and watch some hockey because it's well worth your time. And this is for everything. So Florida's never won one. Edmonton obviously has several. You can fit them all in your hand. And the great Wayne Gretzky has won one or two with the Oilers. So there's a lot riding with the Oilers to come back and win. It's a big time for the Edmonton Oilers and the entire city, as it is for the Florida Panthers. A lot riding on this series, and it's going to be amazing for whoever wins this series in the Stanley Cup. So I'm looking forward to it. Florida comes in minus 135, over under 5.5. I'm looking for that under to hit. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. Two things could happen. Do the Oilers come out and score a ton of goals? Do the Panthers come out and score a ton of goals? Or do both teams play defense? And do the goalies show up to play hockey? They show up to save pucks out of the net. I think it's going to be a slow start. I think it's going to be a 2-1 game, maybe 3-2. But even then, you're still covering that under with 5.5 being the over-under. Who takes the first game? Obviously, Florida being at home, they're a dominant team. They're playing for a Stanley Cup, playing for history. Give me Florida. I want Edmonton to win the series. I think Florida takes game one and kind of kicks Edmonton in the nuts a little bit. But I could be wrong. We'll see. Looking forward to game one happening on the 8th this Saturday. Moving on, we have to talk about NBA in Dallas and Boston going head-to-head game one as well. So it's kind of interesting how that happens. I'm not sure if it really lines up that perfectly every single year, but game one of the NBA Finals alongside the game one of the Stanley Cup Finals, I don't know if it usually lines up that perfectly. In this case, it does. Okay, so we're looking for a great game one. That date is wrong on the screen. 6/6/2024. This Thursday is game one for Boston and Dallas. Who's going to take it? Is Doncic going to win a ring? Is he going to win one with Kyrie? Everyone swore against him up and down. These guys aren't going to win a ring. No way. Then you got everyone that hates Boston. Okay, the Jason Tatum run team, which has shown shakiness. They've shown shakiness just this year. They've shown shakiness. So what's it going to take? What is it going to be? How are we going to see this play out? Because obviously any of these teams can win. Any of these teams can be hot. Any of these teams can be cold. Okay. Coming in with the matchup predictor, and I don't really look at this stuff, guys. I really don't look at it that much. But looking at the matchup predictor, first game at home for Boston, they got them at 66% with the Mavericks at 34% to win. I don't know. I think it's a close game. I really do. I think it's a close game. Let's check out the spread. Boston minus 6.5. That is the spread going into basically 2 days until tip-off. Home game minus 6.5. They kind of have it as somewhat of a close game too. Okay, you got to look at what Vegas has. And looking at that, I don't know. I think I'd take the Mavericks to cover that game. Do they win? I don't know. Do I take them to cover? Of course I do. Just like any of these other series is, you're looking at teams that don't play each other, teams that play each other sometimes, cross-conference teams. You're seeing the crossing of conferences happen in hockey as well as in the NBA with basketball. Got to watch game one. You got to watch game one to get a read because these teams have been playing against different schemes, different defenses, different players, different rivalries, individual rivalries. So watch game one for both, Edmonton, Florida, and Boston and Dallas, and just take it with a grain of salt. Watch it. Watch the game. Check the stats lines. Don't read too far into the stats lines, though. Watch it with a grain of salt. Enjoy the sport you're watching, and make your reads from that. That's all I can say, and that's all you really can do. You can't make any reads based on past games, even in the playoffs. Okay, you can see how these guys are performing in the playoffs. But we've seen all four of these teams in different sports, Edmonton, Florida, and Boston and Dallas. We've seen them crumble in these situations before. So there's no guarantee that they're going to run away with it. And that goes for anybody. I think this can be a chippy series, both in basketball and in hockey. And we can make some crossover comparisons here because I think the teams we're talking about, even in a cross-sport scenario, I think there's a lot of similarities to the competitiveness of both these series. So looking forward to it. I'm excited, man. A lot of playoff sports happening while you got MLB happening as well. There's a lot of sports going on. And really, you shouldn't have a problem watching anything. We did a preview of what is to come in the world of sports, and it's really kind of cool to see what we got. And we'll just take a quick look again. So the French Open's obviously happening right now. The Paris Summer Olympics are happening coming up here in the next month. You also got the Euros, 2024 Euros, which you had some friendlies today. Wasn't too happy about how the Azzurri played. Wasn't too happy. A 0-0 final against Turkey. Not what I expected to see. Do they have their best guys out there? They have some Euro players out there. This is their team. They're expecting to win friendlies. Now, you're not going to go for every challenge. You're not going to, go for the risky plays every time. But I expect a goal. And if I don't get a goal, then I'm concerned, which I am. So I'm concerned. That's all I can say. Expecting big things from the Azzurri in this year's Euros. Obviously, Euro 2020 got pushed back due to COVID. Played out in 21. And we're getting another Euros championship happening in less than 4 years, which we're happy about. Okay, we're very happy about it. The U.S. Open coming up as well, alongside the Open, the British Open. We just saw the RBC Canadian Open, where Robert McIntyre wins his first big tournament on the PGA Tour. Big deal for the Scottishman, the Scot, with his dad on the bag. Great win for Robert McIntyre. It was cool to see him keep his composure and, battle some adversity, have a couple bogeys there in the back nine, the final round, and then battle back and confirm the victory, which was impressive to see from the young man. So I'm happy with what I'm seeing from Robert McIntyre. We've seen flashes of him being successful on the PGA Tour in years past in his very short career, but he's going to be making big splashes going forward on the PGA Tour. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Bill Belichick back in the news again. He meets with the Croatian men's national team soccer as they approach Euros. The Euros are coming up. And it was mentioned that Bill Belichick is a Croatian citizen, which I didn't know. Turns out he's a Croatian citizen. He is a man of the people. He loves the people there. Very well accepted by the people there, the Croatian people. And there was hints that maybe he's going to go coach a soccer team, jump ship completely, and coach a different style of football. I don't know if there's any weight to that or not, but we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see. He is a Croatian citizen, so we got to expect the unexpected. Expect anything to happen. And that's what I'm going to do, and I know better than to not do that with Bill Belichick. He's a wild card. Let's talk about the UFC. UFC 302. Makhachev versus Poirier. Didn't play out for Poirier as well as we would have expected. Obviously, the 35-year-old, he's expecting to get that championship belt. He wants to get that belt. He hasn't got that belt. And he's striving to get that belt. It happened with a submission in round 5 with just over 2.5 minutes left. And I think that's just such a bitch way to win. I really do. And Islam Makhachev, that was a desperation move. That was a move of desperation. And I'm putting that very nicely. Okay, you are coached to fight Russian mixed martial arts. You're expected to fight Russian mixed martial arts. And unfortunately, I guess grappling is part of it. Grappling is part of the UFC, and I've said it publicly. I've said it a million times. That's the one thing that pisses me off the most about UFC. If you can control the ground game, then you can control the fight. Okay, it doesn't come down to battering the other guy's face in or other woman's face in for women's UFC. It's the ground play. Okay, and that's part of the sport. I get it. That's part of the sport. I'm going to get some backlash for that. It's part of the sport, the ground play. I don't like it. You get ground control. If you don't have ground control, or if it's kind of 50-50, then break them up. And I've seen it happen before. I've seen Herb Dean do it before. Mark Goddard, I've seen him do it before. I've seen a lot of these umpires break these gentlemen up when it's kind of in a 50-50 situation. And I want to see more of that. I haven't seen that. And I think the ground game really won the fight for Islam. And that was it. It came down to conditioning, it came down to grappling, and Makhachev got the dub in that one. Unfortunate. I wanted to see Poirier get the dub. I wanted to see it real bad. He wanted to see him claim the belt. They had a great montage video going into that fight, the main event, and it just didn't pan out the way that Poirier's corner and a lot of us expected it to. Sean Strickland gets the win against Paulo Costa. Big win for Sean Strickland. Very, very clinical fighter. Didn't really expect anything less from Sean Strickland. Big win from him. Kevin Holland with the arm break on Michael Oleksiejczuk. That was tough to watch. For those of you guys watching that main card, you saw his arm break. You saw the snap. You saw it happen. Listen, that's tough to watch, people. That's tough to watch. If you're watching a man break another man's arm based on, it's not like an immediate break where you got a guy with a low shin kick and then he snaps his leg. It's not like that. This was a pressure break. We're waiting for it to happen. Joe Rogan said it. He's going to break it. He's going to break it. He's going to break it. He broke. Sometimes it don't. This time it did. So tough to watch. Do I support that way to win? I don't know. I think the Polishman had that fight in the bag. He let off the gas. He let himself get into a tough position with Kevin Holland, another great grappler in the game of mixed martial arts. And he was the favorite. He was the favorite, and he wound up getting him. They call it a submission. But I don't know if you can really call it a submission because more or less it was a medical stoppage. I think that's more accurate to call that a medical stoppage because of the arm break. So if you got a tough stomach, go back and watch that one. Kevin Holland and Michael Oleksiejczuk. Hell of a fight. Very quick one. But if you're not squeamish, you can watch that one pretty easy. It wasn't as bad as I'm making it out to be. Just the fact that a man broke another man's arm due to a pressure break. He knows he's about to break the arm. He's waiting for it to break, using the leverage. Something wrong with that. And this sport is not for the weak of heart, nor is it for the weak of heart as far as the spectators go. Yeah. So go back, watch that. Taking a look around the league, you got NCAA softball going on. Oklahoma beats Florida 6-5 in a nail biter. Oklahoma will advance to the championship finals in women's softball. It's gonna be tight. Who's gonna win that one? Who's going to take it? We'll have to wait and see. And it's just a lot going on, man. A lot going on. Looking at WNBA, a lot going on in WNBA. You got MLB. It's in full swing, people. So I don't want to hear any complaints, but there's nothing to watch. You got plenty to watch, okay? Get on your ESPN Plus or hop on your ESPN app and watch some sports because there's really no excuse not to watch. Okay, it's finally here. The GSN Challenge 5, June 8th, 2024, Briar Ridge Golf Course. It's happening this Saturday. Today's the 4th. The event's on the 8th. Okay, a lot of preparation, a lot of work has gone into this event, and we're prepared. We're ready. We're ready to watch the field. We have a late ad. I have to announce the late ad. It is reigning past champs, back when the event was at Flushing Valley. Nick Donnelly and Jason Newman are back to put another stitch on the jackets. We'll have to wait and see what they do. They're going to be in a championship pairing. We got some newcomers that are seeking out the jackets as well. And another returner that is another reigning champ at Briar Ridge is Jordan Waters and Todd Mieski. So that's going to be a tough battle. It's going to be a tough fight. And we're going to have to see who the pairings are, but there's going to be some shooters out there on the track come this Saturday. It's looking like great weather. I don't want to give you the forecast just because I don't want to jinx anything. Okay, I've had problems with weather and events in the past. We've battled through inclement weather. I guess you can put it that way. As vague as I can put it, that's how I'm going to put it. We've battled through it. We've got through every event, and we plan to do the same this Saturday. So looking forward to it. Obviously, for those of you that don't know about it, the GSN Challenge 5 is the marquee event of the year. Two-man scramble, grow the two-man, hashtag GTTM. Take part in the event. It's not too late. I know on the website it says June 2nd was the last day to register. We have spots open. Okay, if I get to an even amount of teams come Thursday, Friday, then that's fine. I want to come to an even amount of teams. Right now, I got to say I'm not at an even amount. I plan to be within the coming days. But if you want to play, if you want to participate, let me know. If you want a partner, if you need a partner, let me know. We can find you one. Come out and fight for the Jackets. They're there for the taking. Moving on. We got to talk about the game of golf. On topic, it's very relevant and it's very pertinent because we can talk about it until we're blue in the face. And I'm happy to do it because look at these gentlemen beside me. They've made a living off of the game of golf. And it's an opportunity for everybody to make a living off the game of golf. It can happen. It can happen to you. Okay. Look at starting from my top left, Tiger Woods. I mean, I just watched a 20-minute video of Tiger Woods' best 50 shots, and I was amazed. I mean, this guy has devoted his life to the game of golf, and it shows. He says before he takes the first tee, I wouldn't even be here if I didn't think I could win. Okay, and that's a very similar mindset to Shooter McGavin, which he wouldn't take the first tee unless he thought he could win. So I'm looking forward to the rematch. It's coming. Happy Gilmore 2 is already been announced, confirmed, and we're going to see that rematch happen, hopefully. But both of these guys in the top row, they've made a living out of the game of golf. And the same thing goes for the bottom two. A little bit different stories, a little bit different preparation methods. Okay, that goes for, the one and only John Daly. Okay. John Daly needs no introduction. John Daly drinks a 6-pack, smokes a pack of cigarettes, hits a couple balls, and he's on the first tee. And that's his morning routine. And I think he does that. And he doubles it if he makes it to the weekend. Okay. Scotty got caught up in a little bit of a scuffle. Okay. Maybe it shouldn't have happened. Maybe he doesn't even belong on this collage. But the jumpsuit is too fitting to not put him on this collage. You have to put him on. Okay, whether it was justified or whether the charges got dropped or not, I think Scotty is very deserving to be on this collage. Okay, jumpsuit or not. He was booked. He was put in the tank and his fingerprints were taken. That we know. So the game of golf can be embodied by these gentlemen that have made it a point to make their livelihoods around and surround the game of golf. And it goes to show that you can do it too. If you apply yourself, if you hit the range, if you create an unorthodox preparation method like John Daly, it can happen to you. Okay. And I try to tell myself this just to kind of hype myself up a little bit. And I like playing golf. I like to say I can play the game of golf and play it well. Am I Tiger Woods? Am I John Daly? Am I Shooter McGavin? Am I Scotty Scheffler? Of course not. I might never amount to be able to even tie the shoes that they're wearing, their foot joys. Okay. I might not even be able to do that. But I like to take pride in hitting the ball well. I like to take pride in not pushing and pulling putts. I like to take pride in hitting flush iron shots and hitting flush wedge shots from 100 in, or even, 200 into 100, from then 100 in. Okay. There's a lot of things that I take pride in, a lot of things that I like to work on. And there's a lot of things that I still have to work on. Nobody's game is ever complete. No matter how well they play, no matter if they, break 100, if they're trying to do that, or they, shoot 300 par. The game is never over. The success is never over. To become better is a constant. And that must be remembered and recognized. Now, what do we have here? These are range balls aligned in a pyramid or a prism fashion, which if you ever have the ability to play a course that has this on their range, then you're lucky. You're gifted. You're blessed. Okay? This is a beautiful sight. But it's more than that meets the eye. Taking pride in range time. Not just going to the range and getting a bucket of balls. Yeah, let me get a large. Hitting some balls, spraying them, shooting a couple into the parking lot. No, that's not what it's about. It's taking your time with every single shot. Taking your time, starting with your wedges, going down to your, mid irons, to your long irons, then maybe hitting a wood or a hybrid, and then moving on to your driver, obviously. Okay, there's a lot that goes into range time. Taking pride in it. Taking your time on the range. Not just flying through a bucket of 100 balls, but maybe taking an hour and a half, 2 hours, and really dialing in your 56 degree. Hitting at different powers. Because I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Any shot from 100 in, there's no club for that. Okay, maybe people say, oh, I hit my 56 or I hit my 52 100 yards. It's all feel. You can hit a 52 100 yards. You can hit a pitching wedge 100 yards. You can hit a 56 100 yards. Okay, you could listen. It's all feel from 100 in. And write it down, mark it down, put it in your planner. Put it on a plaque and put it above your fireplace. It's all feel. It's all feel. Keep the ball low. If it's windy, keep it even lower. Briar, the greens were dry. They were fast yesterday, firm and fast. You had to keep the ball low. Couldn't really fly them in there because they're going to probably travel to the backside of the green. You're trying to fly it or even carry the pin. So take into account the conditions of the course. To what kind of shots you got to hit. Practice those shots on the range. You're behind a tree. You got to hit a little bit of a snap cut to get around the tree and get towards the green. Set yourself up for a good, next shot. Practice those shots on the range. You're going to have those shots at some point. Practice those shots on the range. That's the moral of the story. Okay, so I share a lot of stuff on Golf Johnny, Johnny Golf, my Instagram handle for my alter ego, Golf Johnny. Okay, I got some playthrough holes on there. You can check those out on Instagram. I encourage you to do so. Some how-tos. Plan on putting more philosophical and, hype videos that are just me talking on there, kind of like this, like I'm doing right now, this discourse. And we're going to add some more content to it. So I'm looking forward to doing that. In the same light, we have to talk about the problem with golf commentary. I'm telling you what, I would not be mad if they just did away with commentary for golf completely. Keep the microphones on the tee boxes. Keep the microphones on the guys that have the big bubble mics right behind the guy. I like that. I like listening for the flush of the ball. I like listening to the ting of the driver hitting just a bomb. I like hearing that stuff. Makes me feel like I'm on the course with these guys. Okay? That's what we live for. That's what we want to see. So just do away with the commentary completely. And I mean, you're saving money as a broadcaster, as a broadcasting company, you're saving money on paying these commentators, but you don't know what the hell they're talking about anyways. They're all talking a bunch of bullshit. It's like, listen, guys, I know he just hit it 6 iron, 220 yards. I know, I can see it on the screen. And really, I could give a shit less how far he hit it. But he put it to 5 feet. That's what I care about. And I care about the ambiance. I care about the atmosphere of what's going on with the sport, the beautiful sport that I'm watching. That's what I care about. And that's what I get out of the experience of watching golf on TV. Some people say golf on TV is boring. Well, what the hell? Chances are you're watching with commentary with assholes that don't even know what the hell they're talking about. In that case, it takes a lot away from it. Might not make it boring per se, especially watching some good golf, some good competition, but it takes away from it. And I wish they'd do away with it altogether. I don't know which event it was. I think it's the Masters, because they have their own broadcasts. They have a broadcast selection with no commentary, and I select that every time. I wish they had it on ESPN Plus. I wish they had it on CBS, everything. And not to knock, ESPN too much, but their golf commentary, if you're going to have golf commentary, I want minimal. I want very little. I don't need to hear anecdotal stories and, me and my nephew were out on the course and, oh man, he broke 120. I don't need to hear that. I don't care. I really don't. Okay. It's a great story. And I'm sure some people would love to hear it, but not me. I want to watch the game of golf. I want to watch balls being flushed. So that's what I care about. And I think I can have a lot of support with that mindset because that's just the way it is. No commentary. We don't need it. Last but not least, I got to talk about the driver. Okay. This is kind of bringing it back into the philosophical stuff that we were just touching on. But as far as the driver goes, okay, now the driver can be kryptonite. It can be a round killer. If you can't get out the tee box, kind of hitting towards what I said at the beginning of the show. If you can't get off the tee box, what the hell are you doing? Because you're not setting yourself up for a second shot. If you're still in play, you're going to have a hell of a second shot, which is basically a recovery shot just to get your ball back in play. Now you're fighting an uphill battle for par. It's not ideal. So what does it take to hit the driver well? I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to hit the driver. Everyone's swing is different. Everybody's setup is different. Everybody's equipment is different. There's no one-size-fits-all fix for the driver or you getting off the tee for that matter. Take the club to the range. Take a notebook. Keep a yardage book that has some notebook paper in there. Take some notes of setups. Then read that every single time because you do it once correctly, it can be done a million times correctly. This goes without saying, but the consistency aspects of golf, that is the most difficult. It's not hitting a good shot. Any player, no matter their skill level, can hit a tour level shot at any given moment, in any given conditions, with any equipment. It's a proven fact. We've seen it happen, and a lot of people, it's happened to you. So do what works for you. Don't swing the club too hard. But at the end of the day, these things are true. You got to get up to the tee box. You got to have a consistent setup. And you got to have pop with the ball. You got to swing the club, and the club has to make direct contact with the ball. You can't, sweep the ball and make partial contact. You can't be, looping your downswing and, expecting to have a consistent pop of the ball with a baseball style swing, a modified baseball swing that's downward. You're not going to have it. I know for a fact you can't have it because I've snap hooked more Pro V1s into the shit left than I can count. Okay. And I'm probably down over $1,000 in Pro V1s, just hitting them in the weeds left, snap hooks. So I'm in recovery, but I'm learning to fix that. And I'm also learning to be this. Somebody that walks up to the tee box with driver in hand and just being as confident as I can be with that club in my hand. And even if you got to fake it, have fake confidence. Fake the confidence because that will turn into real confidence. Okay, the first shot of the day, of the round, whatever, you're playing league, you're playing skins match, the first shot is the toughest. Get through that first shot, mind over matter, that'll transition into your entire round. Period, end of story. And there's obviously a ton more I could say on that, but we don't have enough hard drive space to go through everything, especially regarding the driver, but really translating it into every club. Maybe I have to release a documentary on it because I can get really deep. into those topics. Let's talk about some gin gaming. So I checked in with Diagonal, big time producer of FC24 content on YouTube and all over social media. And I had a heart to heart with him because I heard through a news break that the next FIFA, the rights of FIFA have been sold to 2K Sports. So they make, obviously, PGA Tour 2K23, all the 2K basketball games. List goes on and on, going way back to the Dreamcast days, right? 2K Sports has been around for a while. And it goes without saying, they know sports games. They know the physics. They know the movements. I mean, they knocked PGA Tour 2K23 out of the park. And I still go back and I play PGA Tour 2K21 because the physics of the ball are so good. Okay? That's not to say that EA and FIFA has done a bad job with the physics of the ball, per se. I think that those physics are good. But I think this is a good transition away from EA Sports because they've forgotten about the community. They've left the community out to dry. And it's time for a breath of fresh air. Give 2K the reins. Give them the rights to FIFA. Give them the rights to all these, professional clubs. And let's just see what they do. Obviously, there's a lot to, transfer over. It's not going to translate perfectly to, say the Ultimate Team that EA has basically coined to then a version of it happening with 2K. But I don't really play Ultimate Team anyway, so I don't really give a shit. I know a lot of people do. As long as the game can be played good and it's competitive, it's fluent, it moves good, doesn't lag, there's no input delay, I'm going to be fine. No sporadic glitches. I'm going to be fine. Good gameplay. That's all I care about. Everything else is kind of back burner. Okay. Different game modes, Ultimate Team comparisons, etc. Don't care about it. I want good gameplay. I want competitive gameplay. I want consistent gameplay. That's all I want. I think Diagonal would attest to that. So will we see it? It's yet to be seen. I'm definitely anticipating the drop of FIFA 25 as it's probably going to be produced by 2K. It's been announced. Has it been confirmed? I'd like to say yes, but I got to hear more. I got to see more. This is very hot off the press. So I have to wait and see. But I love the game of FIFA. I love, played it and been a member of the franchise for a long time. So I'd like to see another company have a shot and go for it. Make a good game. Because I think EA has been on a downhill spiral. And especially with FC24, it's kind of the icing on the cake. Has it become more playable? I think so. I think they made some patch fixes where it is more playable, is more competitive than it was when it was at the very bottom. But it's still nothing to what it was when it was released. I mean, when it was released, and I don't have as many bad things to say that Diagonal does. But when it was released, the online gameplay was flawless. It was impeccable. I was happy with it. It worked well. It was competitive. It was consistent. And it was difficult. I mean, it was difficult. No FIFA game is easy, but it was playable and it was consistent. It was fluent. You go on, you play a game of COD. You got, a next-gen system. You're playing you're hardwired with the Ethernet cord, the best internet available. You expect to have minimal lag, minimal input delay. And basically, you want to be able to play like you're right next to the server. That's what you want. And that's what the people deserve. Good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSN. Make sure to follow us on social media. All of our links are in the bottom, in the description of this podcast. I'll see you all next time. I'm John J. II here with the GN Sports Network. Have a great night.